Hi everybody, I'm Grysko and thank you for tuning in. Here with the law firm Fausone, the premier business law firm in Western Wayne County, focused by representation on human resources professionals, business owners, and labor relations professionals. And I'm here today to give some practical tips on what to do if a customer or a patron comes to your establishment and is not wearing a mask. So recently, Governor Whitmer issued Executive Order 2020-153, which generally requires all people that leave their places of residence to wear a mask when in any indoor space, and further puts the onus on businesses to generally refuse service to people that are not wearing masks when they come to their establishment. Now, there are some notable exceptions, and probably the most notable of the exceptions is for an individual who can't medically tolerate a face covering, then potentially doesn't have to wear a face covering. And what some businesses had said was that as a practical matter, to avoid confrontation with their customers and patrons, is they said, hey, if you show up and you're not wearing a face covering, then we're going to presume that you qualify to not wear one under the current executive order. So Executive Order 2020-153 came out and attempted to rectify that situation. So businesses may no longer rely on an assumption that somebody qualifies for medical reasons or otherwise to not wear a face covering. So the onus is on the businesses to check with customers and patrons that aren't wearing masks to verify that they do fall into one of the exceptions. And again, the most notable exception is for those individuals that can't medically tolerate a face covering. And this issue has been coming up repeatedly throughout the course of this pandemic. I've gotten many questions from concerned individuals, business owners, and HR professionals related to this issue. The advice really hasn't changed throughout, but finally we have some guidance from the Michigan Department of Civil Rights, the MDCR. That's the branch of government that enforces civil rights type violations, including the Michigan Persons with Disabilities Civil Rights Act and the Elliott Larson's Civil Rights Act. So what the MDCR has said is that there's essentially three options, and I'm going to call them the 3 A's. The first option is to provide anybody, for whatever reason, who shows up without a face covering, an alternative. That could include, for example, for a restaurant, offering carry-out versus dine-in, or for a retail establishment, offering curbside type delivery. So anybody, for whatever reason, you offer them an alternative potentially. The second A, or the second option, if you will, is an accommodation. What the Michigan Department of Civil Rights has said is that if the person is indicating some type of medical condition or disability, to engage in an interactive process with that person to determine if there's a reasonable accommodation to your policies and practices that can be made in order to accommodate them still accessing your services. This could include the alternatives that we discussed earlier, or it could also include potentially wearing a face shield or something similar. And the last A is allow, and it may be a little misleading because some people, for example, people with medical issues or disabilities that don't have any other reasonable accommodation or alternative, you may allow them to access your services, but people that don't fall into one of the categories that's allowed under Executive Order 2020-153, you're going to refuse service to them while allowing service to the people that fall under the provisions of the Executive Order. So, as with anything, there are multiple layers to this. Being unable to tolerate a mask medically is only one reason that you might qualify for not wearing a mask in a public space. There are other reasons. Not going to get into all those in this video, but it is something that you need to be aware of. So it's important to go out, look up EO 2020-153, or stay tuned for further videos or blogs from us. We're going to continue to stay on top of these issues and stay on top of keeping the business community informed during this global health pandemic. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Again, I'm Grysko here with the law firm Fausone, your premier business law firm in Western Wayne County, serving clients throughout the state of Michigan. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to us at 248-380-0000. Thank you.
Fausone LLP is your premier full-service law firm based out of Western Wayne County, Michigan. If you have questions, reach out to us at 248-380-0000 or check out our website at fb-firm.com and connect with us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube.